everyone, my name is Carrie Long. I am a 41-year-old unapologetic follower of Christ. I am a wife of over 20 years now, a homeschooling mama, and a wellness warrior. I am also a missionary to Guatemala. My family and I are missionaries here in Guatemala. We have been here for over 19 months now, and it has been just an incredible ride. I wanted to talk to you today. I wanted to tell you about my Whole30 journey. It has been just incredible what God has done and how He has used Whole30 to absolutely change my life and to change the relationship that I had with food. It was very needed, and I want to share what happened, and hopefully maybe my story will give you enough courage to step out there and maybe make some changes of your own if you need to. So like I said, I'm 41. I have always had basically an inappropriate relationship with food. I've always had an unhealthy relationship with food, and I've always had a low self-image. I've been bulimic. I dealt with that for quite some time. I've taken all the pills, done the shakes, all the things. Hashtag all the things, okay? So I wanted you guys to know my background because it's important to understand how Whole30 changed my mindset and my relationship with food. Like I told you, I'm 41, and I have had elevated liver enzymes for over 20 years. And I used to work in the medical field. I worked in gastroenterology and also pediatrics. And at one point in my gastro days, my gastroenterologist had done some labs, and my liver enzymes were elevated. An ultrasound had revealed that, of course, I had fatty liver. And he had told me during that time that if I ever had, my deductible met, that he would love to do a liver biopsy on me just to see what was going on in my liver. And in 2013, I did have my deductible was met, and so I was like, you know what, I may as well just go ahead and get that biopsy done because my liver enzymes are still elevated, and may as well just go ahead and see what's going on. And so he did. He did a liver biopsy on me, and when he called me in a few days, he was astounded, and he was like, Carrie, what in the world? He said the pathologist called him and said that he thought that my biopsy was from that of an alcoholic. You see, my fatty liver had turned from just fatty liver and elevated enzymes to a condition called NASH, which is non-alcoholic steatohepatitis. And basically, it is the step right before cirrhosis. And so it's not due to alcohol. It has to do with all the toxins and the processed junk and the sugar that I had been putting in my body. And so my doctor told me at this point, the pathologist is telling me that you have 10 years before you need a liver transplant, and you've got to change. Well, I took all that information in, and again, this is in 2013, but the problem was that it was just NASH. It was just a fatty liver, and it wasn't hurting me. Like, if I had had a broken leg, I would have got it fixed, right? It would hurt. And so I had, been dealing with fatigue and things like that, but doesn't everyone? And so the thing is that I kind of put it on the back burner. And you need to stay with me right here because this is where everything kind of correlates together. In 2013, we joined Young Living Essential Oils, and we have our middle son who could very, very well have easily been diagnosed with a neurological disorder, anger, not being able to be around peers, no eye contact, no touching, all the things, right? If you know what I'm talking about. So I was reading up on that, and I found that you need to get toxins out of the house, and you could use different things. And so that's what brought us to Young Living. And so that's why I started to try to get some DIY things happening and whatnot. But from that moment, joining Young Living, all of a sudden I was surrounded by this community that was more natural minded, holistic minded, if you will, and which was completely opposite and different from what I was used to in the medical field. Not every doctor is like that. Not every portion of medical field is like that. Please don't mistake me when I say that. Just it's different than what I was trained on, and so I started researching for my son in order to allow him to have a better quality of life. And little did I know that what I would be researching for him and what God would do in and through him and the healing he would receive through changing the diet and through nutrition and through, preventative maintenance versus reactive, and supporting body systems using essential oils and supplements and stuff. Oh my gracious, I did not know that he would use my son and his story to change my life. Yeah. Unforgiveness and some of those things that you just need to deal with in order to be healthy, because the body is whole, right? Mind, body, and spirit. And so December of 2017, we were driving to Oklahoma, and I was praying and asking God what he wanted for me for my life in 2018. I heard him tell me wellness, and I was like, wellness? Like, what does that mean, wellness? Like, I have been using oils, I've been, doing this, doing that, I've dealt with emotions, I've dealt with unforgiveness, I'm doing all these things. Like, what are you talking about, God? And I heard him, not audibly, but in my spirit, tell me to change my diet. No processed foods, no junk, no gluten, no dairy. And I was like, whoa, what? And I set my seat up, and listen, I had watched, this is the important part, is because I had watched our son go from not being able to be around people and not even to be comfortable in his own skin. We took inflammatory foods out of his diet, and I watched him morph into this beautiful butterfly. Okay, so just know that I had already seen in my own family healing from nutrition. Okay, so I set my chair up, and I was like, what are you talking about? What you talking about, Willis? And I told him, I was like, I need boundaries. I don't understand what you're telling me. Like, I need to know, like, what exactly are you saying? And what can I have? What can't I have? And I heard him tell me Whole30. And so I immediately Googled it because I didn't know what it was. And I Googled it, and I was like, oh my gosh, these are all the parameters that God was just telling me about. So I continued praying about it for a few days, and from there I messaged one of my good friends and prayer warriors, and she's also a nutritional and fitness expert. And so I messaged her, and I said, hey, two things. Like, can I do Whole30 like for the entire year of 2018? Because that's what I think God is asking me to do. And number two, will you walk alongside me and pray for me and just step in when I need you? And she messaged me back immediately and was like, absolutely, Whole30 is great, da-da-da. And so I was like, okay, here I go. And so I prepared emotionally, mentally, and also physically to begin Whole30 for the next 365 days, starting in January 1st of 2018. So there you have. That's how I started, and that's why I came into Whole30, is because with that conversation with God, I heard him tell me, if you'll do this for me, if you will do this, I will heal you in ways that you don't even know about. And I knew that my liver was in trouble. I knew that there was other issues that I needed to deal with. And so I said yes. I would be obedient to him. And so it was kind of like a covenant between me and him. And he knows me well enough to know that that's what I would need. I'm stubborn, and that I would need it to come from him and not just someone, off the streets or something. So that's what we did. We made this covenant, and I started Whole30 January 1st, 2018. Did I have temptations? Absolutely. Guys, I live in Guatemala. And so the thing is I don't have Trader Joe's here. I do not have HEB here. I do not have what many of you guys in the United States have at your disposal. And so it was extremely difficult for me. I went from having all of, in the United States, having so many resources to being like, I don't know what to do. I can't even speak this language most of the time. So God saw me through. There was temptations. I failed a few times, not very often, but a few times. I repented and I asked him for forgiveness, and I started over. I started my round over. But all that to say that from 2018, January 1st, 2018 to December 31st, I did Whole30 as best as I humanly possibly could in my flesh. And the results were staggering. This has been a journey, okay? But this, you see that, sorry, my light there. This is who I was. And this is who I am now. You see that, that light, okay? Now, I show you that, but I want you to understand that there were so many non-scale victories, and that is what Whole30 is all about. The weight loss was just an added bonus. That happened naturally by changing my diet and getting the inflammatory foods and the sugars and the processed junk out of my body. That was a blessing. It is a great blessing. I have so much more energy now. I can keep up with my boys. I can surpass my boys at this point. My mind is clearer. I have so many non-scale victories, and that is what is important. The weight loss was just an added bonus. I want you to understand that I did not go in to this Whole30 with the mindset of I want to lose weight. Okay, it wasn't like that. God specifically used Whole30 to change my relationship and my mindset about food. Okay, completely changed my mindset and my relationship with food. He showed me that I was addicted to sugar and processed foods, and that I was turning to that instead of him. He showed me that my body craves that stuff, and the more I give it, the more my body wants it. He showed me that I can't do this without him. Okay, so there are many things that I learned through this journey. I had great success, and most of it, though, is the fact that my liver is healed. Like, I have normal liver enzymes for the first time in over 20 years. Okay, number two, I realized that I have to stop this generational thing in my family. All right, my boys are following after the footsteps that I was leading. Different mindset. I look at food as as fuel now, instead of something to bring me comfort and joy. While food, I'm sure, is meant to be enjoyed, a lot of the food these days is not real food. There's a lot of chemicals. Okay, so just to let you know, I'm not against eating food. Food is great, but it's fuel for your body, and you can totally enjoy food. You just have to do it with mindset than what I used to have, and a different relationship than what even you may have at the moment. So all that to say, my boys did this with me for a little while as well. And guys, I saw my husband become softer in regards to like just a kinder look on his face, just more peace and just even more sweet than what he is. And I saw my oldest son take more pride in honoring his body. I saw our youngest son have less meltdowns. I saw Tucker, our middle son, the same, and him begin to release some extra pounds as well. And so, guys, it's amazing what happens to the body when you feed it what it needs. You fuel it, reduce pain. Your brain works better. It is just less mood swings, less depression, less anxiety. It's just incredible if you can just get that freedom from food. So I just wanted to share my story. It is now January of 2019, and we are about to lead a group of about 200 through Whole30, January 7th. And so this will be my 13th round. And right now I'm on a reintroduction kind of phase, but we just got back to Guatemala from the States, and so I can definitely tell a difference about what eating Whole30 versus not. So I'm excited that this is a lifestyle now, and that my entire family is going to be doing it with me now. And so I challenge you and I encourage you. I hope that my story will give you courage. If I can do it for 365 days, you can do it for 30 days. I promise, I promise, I promise. Those temptations will come. The lies of the enemy will come. And you're just going to have to punch them in the face. Because you can do it. You can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. And so thank you so much for listening to my story. And if you have any